Hello guys, good morning. Welcome to your tutorial. Today is Monday, okay? Today is a new day and a new week, okay? I hope today you have a wonderful week and a wonderful day. And I also hope that you had a wonderful or a great weekend enjoying your family and being safe, okay? Try to create new things at home for you cannot get bored, okay? Well, today's subject is about math, okay? Smart mathematician, and we're going to work on page 172 all the way to page 174. Today is June 15th, 2020, okay? And this is today's subject. This subject is from week 8, okay, for the last week from our learning logbook, okay? So you have to look at your book on these pages. Now, let's start by looking at today's agenda. Today's agenda is about June 15th, 2020, okay, week 8, smart mathematician, and we're going to start by looking at the list, okay, the list of the materials of the pajama day, okay. I included here the list of the materials that you will need, okay, to make a small activity, a creative activity for pajama day. But that's a surprise. I just suggest you to try to search for these materials, okay. They're not too much, and those materials you probably have them at home, so that means that you don't have to buy nothing. Remember to try to use recycled things that you have in your house, okay. The purpose of this is to have fun, okay, to make new things, okay, with your hands, handmade, and not waste money, okay. After that, we have to start working on the learning log pages, page 172 all the way to page 174. Also, we have to read a key language called Simplified and Amplified Fractions. Oh my god, here we're going to talk about fractions. Well guys, remember that we already saw the fraction topic, okay. I think it was on the third book, I remember, but we already saw this topic. Anyways, we're going to review it, okay. We're going to simplify and amplify fractions. Remember, there's several types of fractions, and today you don't have no homework, okay. So well guys, let's start and see the pajama day materials, okay. Listen for the pajama days materials. The materials that you will need for the pajama day is a towel or a small blanket. You will need a towel or a small blanket, okay. It doesn't matter the color, you just need a towel or a small blanket, okay. Also, you will need 4 or 5 hair leggies, okay, hair leggies, or rubber bands or hair leggies, okay, 4 or 5. If they're small, then you will need 5 maybe. If they're big, like this type of leggies, maybe you will need 3, it's fine, or 4, okay. Boys, if you don't, you can ask your mommy if they can let you borrow these leggies, okay. So now we're going to work on Knowledge Highway, okay. This is the front cover of the week that we will be working on, that is week 8, okay. Well, this week we will work on the smart mathematician topic. Today we're going to do page 172, and on Wednesday we will work on curious scientists from this week, okay. Wednesday we will do the subject curious scientists. On Friday, well, we will do wise citizen, but from week 5, okay. Now on Friday, Wednesdays, and Mondays from the next week, we'll be covering the other highway knowledge topics. For example, curious creative artist or wise citizen. So well, let's start by looking at this essential question. This is our first open question, and it says, what are mixed numbers? What are mixed numbers? Can numbers be mixed in a way? How is this possible? Well, mixed numbers, they're talking this part about fractions, okay. Remember that we can see fractions and also in our daily life. For example, yesterday my mom and me, we ate a half a pizza, and she took 1 fourth of a pizza. Okay, 1/4 of a pizza was pepperoni, and 2/4 maybe of a pizza was from ham or pineapple. But well, guys, we do use fractions. Okay, we used to fractions in our daily life, and maybe you don't see them, but we do. Okay, and sometimes when mommy is going to buy some cheese in the grocery store, or maybe in the supermarket, or maybe when mom is going to buy meat, well, they ask, give me a half kilogram of meat, give me half kilogram of chicken. Okay, so yes, we do know, and we do see fractions. And mixed numbers in this case, well, is those numbers that from a fraction can be mixed. How? By dividing it. Okay, or depends if we have to simplify or amplify. But anyways, in this topic we will learn how to simplify or amplify, or see the fractions that are equivalent to one fraction. For example, if this fraction is big, we will see how we can simplify this fraction to the simplest form. Okay, or how to amplify it. Maybe is the simplest form and we need to amplify it to make a greater fraction. Okay, so we will see that process, and we will see the fraction equivalence. But before everything, we need to start reading this key language. Okay, this key language that talks about simplifying and amplifying. Okay, fractions. Here they give you several examples of fractions. Okay, they even try to give you like a problem about fractions, and you see several things, okay, related to fractions. So to make this easier and faster, let's start reading this key language. Okay, and then we're going to work together on the learning log activity. So let's start.
Simplifying and amplifying fractions. Smart mathematician. Large numbers make math complex. Mathematicians know this very well. This is why they try to use numbers in a simple way. For example, the number 1 followed by 12 zeros can be written as 1012. Did you know that fractions can be simplified too? Sometimes fractions are not expressed in a simple form. What do you do when you have big numbers in fractions? The answer is simplifying. This means changing a fraction to an equivalent one, but with smaller numbers. For example, you can simplify the fraction 10/25 to 2/5. There are several ways to do it. Let's take a look. Divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same number until you cannot go any further. When you divide the numerator and denominator, the result should be whole numbers. Not like this one. You can also simplify a fraction by using the greatest common factor. What is a factor? Factors are the numbers that you can multiply together to get a new number. First, find the smallest common factors from both the numerator and the denominator. 6/20, okay, you see what they're doing. This part is multiplying 2 4 times, okay? And 2 3 times, and the bottom part times 3, okay? Identify the same number of common factors on both the top and bottom of the fraction. If you multiply them, you will get 8 as the result on both sides. 8 is the greatest common factor of 16 and 24. So that means that is 16 divided by 8 and 24 divided by 8, and that is your fraction, your simplified fraction. That will be 2/3. The greatest common factor is the highest number that divides 2 or 1 numbers evenly. Divide both sides of the fraction 16/24 by 8, their greatest common factor. Improper fractions can be simplified too. 8/3 is an improper fraction because the numerator is greater than the denominator. Do you know how to amplify a fraction? Can you do that? Amplifying a fraction is easy. Multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same number. So over here, this is your fraction, and you do this process. 4 times 2 equals 8, and 6 times 2 equals 12. Times 3 and times 3, and that's your number, your fraction. Equivalent fractions result from multiplying or dividing both sides of a fraction by the same number. They are equivalent because they have the same value even when they look a bit different. Let's learn more. Here you have pizza, 1/2 of a pizza equals 2/4 of a pizza, and 2/4 of a pizza equals 4/8 of a pizza. Equivalent fractions have the same value even if they have different numerators and denominators. All three fractions represent the same quantity, like in this image that you see here from the pizza. Okay? When doing more advanced math, you will find it easier to work with simple fractions. Sometimes mathematics is not a piece of cake, but knowing how to simplify fractions will help you deal with complex operations. Memory. Simple fractions are easy to remember and understand. You can quickly recognize that a half is half rather than 42/84, even though they are equivalent fractions. Mathematics is really fun when you understand the way it works. Okay? So this is the memory. Okay, this is how you can remember and understand some fractions, recognizing them easier. Transcription. Simple fractions help you reduce the chance of transcription errors. And 42/84, there are 4 members, compared to only a pair in the equivalent fraction, 1/2. Decimal. Simple fractions are also easier to convert into decimals. Make sure that your numbers are expressed in their simplest form. Scientists simplify to avoid confusion when numbers are large. What other advantages do you find in simplifying complex fractions? Now guys, let's read this word treasure.
Confusion, confusion, denominator, denominator, equivalent, equivalent, factor, factor, numerator, numerator, simple, simple.
Like I always say, please check those sources, okay? They give you more information related to the fractions, okay? So now, let's continue. 172, page 173, and page 174. We're going to work on these 3 pages. If you observe, these 3 pages have several exercises that you have to do, and these exercises are simple because this topic you already saw it, okay? Talking about fractions and mixed numbers, okay? So let's start, okay, with this first page, that is page 172, okay? On this page, we'll observe the keywords, observe the context box in purple, okay? And observe that it tells you the type of fractions that exist. Now, let's read the keywords. Amplifying, equivalent fractions, halfway, irreducible, reduce, and simplifying. So, in this part, we're going to talk about fractions, okay? And the types of fractions, improper fractions, mixed fractions, okay? Remember that we saw this topic already in the 3rd book, and, well, this is like a review or to reinforce more this knowledge, okay? So let's start reading the concept box on this page, page 172, and it says, as you may remember, a fraction represents part of a whole. All proper fractions represent smaller parts than the whole. In a proper fraction, the numerator is less than the denominator. Example, fraction 3/5 is proper since 3 is smaller than 5 or less than 5. Okay? So in this case, we're going to underline this proper fraction. The numerator is less than the denominator. Okay? Here you have another type of fraction. Whole fractions represent one whole, which means the numerator is the same as the denominator. Example, the fraction 3/3 is equal to 1 whole since 3 equals 3. So remember, whole fractions means that the numerator and denominator is the same, like this one right here, okay? Now, the other one is improper fractions. The numerator is greater than the denominator. From improper fraction. These fractions can also be represented by mixed numbers. A mixed number, what is a mixed number? Contains a whole number and a fraction. Example, the proper fraction 9/5 can also be represented as a mixed number. 9/5 equals 5/5 plus 4/5 equals 1 plus 4/5 equals 1 whole 4/5. Okay? That is the representation. This is a mixed number, okay? And remember that this is an improper fraction. In this side, well, in this occasion, you have one type of fraction, 2, 3, and over here, talking about mixed, 4. Remember that there's 4 types of fractions so far. If you start with a mixed number, it can also be represented as an improper fraction. So for a mixed fraction, you can change it to improper fraction, okay? That is the process. What do? I keep the same denominator. 1 times 5 plus 4 equals 9/5, okay? And this part over here, what did I do? The 1 whole plus 4/5 equals what? Okay? These are the 4 types of fractions that exist, okay? Remember that there's whole fractions, improper, proper fractions, etc. Okay? Now, on exercise number 1 says, label the following fractions with proper, improper, whole, or mixed. So you have to write down here, look at the fraction. First, what you do, number 1, first step, you have to look at the fraction, okay? Number 2, you have to determine the type of fraction, okay? What type of a fraction is it? Is it a proper, improper? Okay, which fraction do you think it is? Now, number 1, you have on number 1, it says 36, 47. 42, sorry. 36 over 42. Is this a proper fraction, improper, whole, or mixed? Remember that a whole, well, this will be like a whole. Fifth, okay. Mixed, remember that there's a whole number in a improper fraction. Improper fraction is that the denominator is bigger than the denominator, and over here proper. So which one do you think it is? Yes, in this occasion is a proper, this is a proper fraction. Okay, this is a proper fraction. Why? Because 36 is less than 42. 42 is bigger than 36. So obviously this is a proper fraction. What I did right here, you have to observe, like I say, you have to look and then determine the type of fraction it is, okay? Once you do that, then you're going to answer the other exercises that they have in this page, okay? So, well, I hope that you have enough time to do it, okay? Now let's look at the indication from number 2. Number 2 says, get into pairs to complete the fractions. You have to get into pairs to complete the fractions, okay? In this case, well, they're just presenting you what is a proper fraction, improper, whole, and mixed fraction. In this case, the answers can be different. Why? Because proper, well, I convert this one improper. How? 5, well, a number that is bigger than 5, maybe 11. Okay, that's my proper fraction. Over here, I have a 12. Well, how can I change this to improper? To proper fraction? Well, I can put a 2. And that's my proper fraction. And so on. How can I change this one into improper? Well, they always say that for improper, this one is bigger than this one. Then this case will be like a 1. Okay? Whole. What is a whole number? Well, easy. Whole number. This is my whole number. Mix. What is my mix number? Okay? How is a mixed fraction? Well, keep on doing with my rule. The numerator is smaller than the denominator, so in this case will be maybe a 10. Okay? And that's what I do. You continue with the other ones, okay? In this case, you don't do it with a partner, you do it by yourself, okay? Just like I did. This is a really simple part, okay? I hope you have enough time to do it. I hope you understood it. Remember that here the answers can be different. This is not like a sequence pattern, no. This is just changing this one to proper, that's all. This one to proper, that's all. Improper, that's all, okay? Just adding the numbers to make it as they are asking you, okay? If they're asking you to change it into a whole number, then you change it to a whole number, okay? To complete just the fractions. So now let's continue and do this, please. Page 173. Now we're going to work on this page 173. And this page is cool because it has two concept boxes that we are going to analyze and check, okay? So let's start with the first concept box. The first concept box is located to your left of this page, and it says, equivalent fractions represent the same number. To find equivalent fractions, you must amplify or simplify the fraction. When you write improper fractions as mixed numbers or vice versa, they are still equivalent. Example, 9/4 equals 2 wholes 1/4. Amplifying, the numerator and the denominator are multiplied by the same natural number greater than 1. Example, first let's underline this part. And remember the equivalent fractions, you must amplify or simplify the fractions, okay? And this is how you can do this. Now, amplifying is that you multiply by the same natural number greater than 1. And look at the example. 6/9 equals 6 times 2, and 9 times 2 equals 12/18. So 6/9 equals 12/18. They're equivalent. Why 2? Well, because they multiply by the greater number than 1, a natural number, and 2 is a common number in this, using these two numbers, okay? Simplifying, the numerator and the denominator are divided by the same natural number greater than 1. So underline simplifying, that means that they are divided by the same natural number. Remember here that here they multiply. In this case, you multiply, and here you divide, okay? Look at the examples. 6/9 equals 6 divided by 3, and 9 divided by 3 equals 2/3. So 6/9 and 2/3 are equivalent. Why 3? Well, because that's the common number, okay? A fraction is irreducible, or in its simplest form when it cannot be simplified. Example, 28 equals 20 divided by 4, and 28 divided by 4 equals 5/7. That's all. You can keep on simplifying because if you observe, this is an odd number, okay? It's not an pair number. Since 5/7 cannot be reduced any further, we can conclude that it is an irreducible fraction. That is the reducible fraction because you cannot reduce it anymore, okay? So this is what a reducible fraction is when in its simplest form cannot be simplified. Reducible fraction is because you cannot keep on simplifying it. You just simplify it into the simplest form, okay?
Here are 4/8 of a pizza, and 2/4, and a half. Why say 4/8 when you really mean half? Simplifying or reducing fractions means to make the fraction as simple as possible. To simplify a fraction, divide the top and bottom by the highest number that can divide into both numbers exactly. How do I simplify a fraction? There are two ways to simplify a fraction. Method 1. Try dividing both the top and bottom of the fraction until you can't go any further. Try dividing by 2, 3, 5, 7, etc. Example, simplify the fraction 24/108. First, divide it by 2. 24 divided by 2 is 12, and 108 divided by 2 is 54. Divide the 12 and the 54 again by 2, you get 6/27. Now divide by 3, and you get 2/9. Here is another example. Can we divide by 2? Yes. How about 2 again? No, because 21 can't be evenly divided by 2, as you would get 10½. How about 3? No, because 14 divided by 3 doesn't work. How about 5? No. How about 7? Yes, and we are done. Method 2. Divide both the top and bottom of the fraction by the greatest common factor, but you have to work it out first. For example, simplify the fraction 8/12. The largest number that goes exactly into both 8 and 12 is 4, so the greatest common factor is 4. Divide both top and bottom by 4, and the answer is 2/3.
This is the information, this concept box right here. It's on page 173, but it's on the bottom part located to your right, okay? It says, when you compare fractions with the same denominator, the fraction with the bigger numerator is greater. Example, when comparing 7/8 and 4/8, you can have 7/8 greater than 4/8 because 7 is greater than 4. Simple, okay? You see that it's same denominator, so you just have to see which one is bigger, okay? That's when you're comparing fractions with the same denominator. Bigger numerator is greater, okay? Now, when you compare fractions with a different denominator, you can amplify or simplify. In this case, you can amplify or simplify with a different denominator, okay? Then it says amplify or simplify them to get the same denominator. Then you can compare their numerators. Example, 3/4 is less than 5/6 because 3/4 is equal to 9/12 and 5/6 is equal to 10/12. Therefore, 9/12 is less than 10/12. Okay, how you do this? Well, first you have to see which one is the common number. Okay, they're telling me that 3/4 is equal to this. Okay, well, here in this case, multiply by 2. Okay, or multiply by you can either multiply or divide. Okay, in this case you can either multiply or divide. For example, if you multiply 3 times 3 equals 9 and 4 times 3 equals 12. That is the same. Okay, now 5 times 3 is not. So here the common number for this fraction, the common number, the least common number multiple is 3, and on this one, our 5/5, okay, our 5/6, sorry, and 5/6 is the least common multiple of 5/6 is 2. Why? Because if you multiply 5 times 2 equals 10, and 6 times 2 equals 12. This result right here is this fraction equals that. Okay, so that's why they're comparing now these two, okay, the ones that you have at the end. Here you have to see which one is your common multiple, and then you multiply it by it. Okay, in this case we're amplifying, we're not simplifying, we're amplifying. These operations are amplifying. Okay, now on exercise number 3, we're going to circle. It's telling you the indication, circle the fractions equivalent. From page 173 you have to do this exercise. Okay, here, well, what do you have to do? That means that you have to simplify these fractions. Okay, once you feel simplified, you are going to circle the ones that is equal to this one. Okay, in a moment I will use the board at the end, and I will do some exercises similar to this for you can have some more idea. Okay, so please check it out throughout the tutorial. Okay, it's going to be inside the tutorial, and I will show you how to do this. Okay, but in this case you have to circle the fractions equivalent. This is your fraction that you have right here. So in this case, well, you have to see which one is the one equivalent. Okay, what do you have to do? Well, in this case you have to simplify it. Okay, they're telling you that you have to find equivalent, so that means that you have to simplify it. Okay, so in this part you have to this part you have to simplify it. Okay, you have to simplify the fraction. Okay, now for example number 1, you have 36 over 48. Okay, now you have to find your least common multiple. What is your least common multiple in this case? Well, you have 36/48. Okay, what can be your least common multiple? If you multiply this times what? I mean, you in simplify you divide, right? What is you do in simplify? You do division. So 36 divided by 6. How much will be 36 divided by 6? Or check another common number, a common multiple. 36 divided by 9, or 36 in this case divided by 4 will be 9. Then no, it's too big. How about 36 divided by 12? Here your common multiple will be 12. 12 equals, in this case will be, 36 divided by 12 will be 3, and 48 divided by 12 will be 4. Okay, and this result right here will be my equivalent fraction. So in this case, that means that this one will be my equivalent fraction. Okay, 3/4, because your least common multiple is 12. 36 divided by 12 3, and 48 divided by 12 is 4. Okay, See, same thing that I did here, you're going to do it over here. You have to find the equivalent fraction. That means that you have to simplify. That means that you have to divide, okay? Now, let's look at the indication for exercise number 4. What are they asking you on exercise number 4? Well, it says circle all the equivalents of each fraction. Now, in this part right here, you have to see that it's 4/8. Which one is equivalent to 4/8? Okay? So, in this case, what do you have to do? Well, therefore, you have to find which one could be equivalent, okay? In this case, well, you have 4/8. It will be equivalent to 1. It will be equivalent to half, okay? Also, it could be equivalent to 20/40. Okay, how do I do this? Well, first, it's similar to what we did previously. In this case, you have to amplify or simplify. Okay, let's try to do it with this one. How do I find this result? Well, I multiply or I can either divide. Okay, in this case, well, what do you have to do is, for example, 4/8. Okay, times 10 will be 40, and times 10 will be 80. Okay. Here I use this common multiple 10. Okay, I use this common multiple, that it will be 10. Now, in this case, let me simplify this operation. What is the least common multiple here? In this case will be 2. Okay, your least common multiple will be 2. 40 divided by 2 is 20. Okay, here first, right here I amplified. Okay, this operation I amplified. And now over here I'm going to simplify it. Simplified. 40 divided by 2 will be 20, and 80 divided by 2 will be 40. Okay, that is how I know that 4/8 is equivalent to 24. Okay, also another equivalent will be 6/32. Okay, this one, 6/32 will be the other equivalent of this fraction. Okay, now how do you do this? Well, the same thing. You have to see how can you amplify or simplify. For example, in this case, you're going to amplify 4/8. Okay, 4/8. Okay, multiplied by what is 16. Well, in this case, you go check which was your least common multiple. Okay, 4 times 6 will be 24. No, what is your least common multiple in this case? Okay, in this case, your least common multiple can be 4. Okay, I think in this case that my least common multiple will be 4. Okay, so how do I amplify it? Well, because this is bigger, right? This 16 over 32 is bigger than 4/8. So I multiply. My least common multiple. Let me write it over here. My least common multiple in this case will be 4. So I multiply 8 times 4, and 8 times 4 equals 16/32. Okay, so that will be my result. See how I know that these ones are the equivalent fractions. Okay, how do I know it with this one? Well, here this is simplifying. What do I do? Well, in this case, I have to simplify. Okay, that means that I have to simplify 4/8. Okay, 4/8. And how do I simplify dividing? Which one do I use? Well, 4/8 divided by 4. How much is 4/8 divided by 4? In this case, 4/8 divided by 4 will be 1, and 8 divided by 4 will be 2. So my least common multiple in this case to simplify will be 4. Okay, and what do I do? This is 1 tooth. Okay, 1. So that means that all the ones that I circle here are the equivalent. Okay, you see, you either amplify, simplified. That means that you have to find the least common multiple and check if you amplify or simplify it. Okay, well, now let's check exercise number 5. On exercise number 5 from this page 173, what do you have to do? Well, you have to in this case it says William and Zoe are playing a game. William writes the fraction that exactly halfway between 0 and 1. Zoe writes the fraction that exactly halfway between 0 and William's number. Then they take turns writing the fraction that is halfway between 0 and the previous fraction. The first person that writes a fraction with the denominator greater than or equal to 100 loses. Who will win the game? Explain. In this case, well, according to the rules of the game, okay, you have to see what are they giving you, okay? It says that denominators will continue to increase if you multiply them by 2. How? For example, it's telling you that William writes the fraction that exactly halfway between 0 and 1. What is between 0 and 1? Well, first you have to make a line, okay? 0, okay? Here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, okay? Now, talking about William, first William writes a fraction that is between 0 and 1. What is between 0 and 1? Okay, will be between 0 and 1 will be the fraction. Here will be the fraction half. Okay? Now, that means that William first has 1 half. Now, it says Soy over here. Soy writes a fraction that is between halfway between 0 and William's number. So if William numbers is this one, and it's between 0 and William's number, and this is 1, okay? What comes, 1, this is 1 whole, right? But before 1 whole, there's 1/2, 1/4, etc. So in this case, absorbing this one, that means that Soy has 1/4, okay? And observing this fraction line, that means that Soy's number is 1/4, or fraction, okay? It says now, then they take turns writing the fraction that is halfway between 0 and the previous fraction, this one, 0 and this previous fraction. That means that William, they take turns. That means that first who started? William, then after William, Soy, then William and Soy, and so on. That means that the other number, this is 1, that means that the other number will be William, okay, will be 1/8, okay? And you keep on doing it. That means that Soy, because it says the first person that writes a fraction with denominator greater than or equal to 100 loses, okay? Who started the game? William. In this case, William started and continues with Soy, and then William continues, and then Soy. So first here, they're just using 0 in between 1. 0 in between 1, okay? So now let's make this chart a little bit over here. That means that this is 1 and this is 0, okay? This line. Now, here, well, you will have half, 1/2, okay? And after 1/2, well, you have 1/4, 1/8, okay? You have 1/16, 1/16, and you continue, okay? That means that the bigger, what happens in the sequence? They're multiplying, okay? According to the rules of the game, with the denominators, they're multiplying. So here, that means that Soy has 1/16, okay? 1/16. And that means that if we continue, William will have, let's write it over here because I don't have space. William will have 1/32. And then if we continue, that means that Soy will have 1/64. And if we continue, William will have 1/28, okay? So William will write the first fraction with denominator greater than 100, if you observe it here, okay? So the person that will win the game will be Soy, okay? Soy will win the game. But the first, sorry, I got confused. The first person that's going to write the fraction will be William, okay? Because over here, you see that he is the first one, right here, that wrote the first fraction greater than 100, okay? The denominator is greater than, okay? And that means that he loses, because it's telling you the first person that writes a fraction with the denominator greater than 100 or equal loses. So William lost, and Soy won, because Soy has 64, okay? According to the rules of the games, that means that these operations or these fractions right here, they are increasing by multiples of 2. Okay, they're increasing. Let's write this part right here. The denominators, they increase, they continue, or they increase by multiples of 2. Okay? That's what is happening. They are increasing by multiples of 2. Okay, so in this one I help you. Okay, this is the correct answer because maybe this will be a little bit complicated for several people to understand. So here, what is the correct answer? Well, it's saying that soy, like I just said, soy will win the game. Okay, soy will win the game, and according to the rules of the game, the denominators will continue. Okay, they increase by multiples of 2. See, they'll continue increasing by multiples of 2. According to this, I need you to write this down, this green information. So that means that William will write the first fraction with a denominator greater than 100. He is going to lose. Okay? Now, I will give you enough time to do exercise number 4 and number 3. Okay? And later I will show you, okay, what do you have, some examples, sorry, I will show you some examples on the board of equivalent fractions, okay?
Page 174. This is one that you have right here. Well, on this page you have 4 exercises that you have to do, but in this case you're going to just do 3 because on exercise number 9 says teams of 4, and you will not do exercise number 9 from this page. That means that from this page 174 you're just going to do exercise number 7, 6, and 8. Okay, now let's start by reading these 2 exercises. What are the indications? It says it says put each group of fractions in order from smallest to the greatest, from the small number, okay, from the small number to the greatest number, okay, and here is from the greatest number to the smallest number, okay. How do I do that? Well, you have to order them and you have to see which one. On the first one over here, this is easy because you have equal denominators that you just have to put them in position. But over here you have different denominators, okay? I suggest you to find the common denominator, okay? And see which one is the common denominator, or according to the denominators, okay, classify them to the greatest to the smallest, okay. For this part, well, here the problem, it says you have to solve one and then you have to solve problem two the same way, okay. Well, problem one, it's telling you from the smallest to the greatest, and problem two is from the greatest to the smallest ones, okay. The problem one, same denominator, but this one doesn't, okay. So there are different ways of solving it, okay. Now I suggest you to see which one over here in this part is the greatest, okay. I will give you a hint. The first one, the greatest first one is 3 2, okay. 3 2, that's how you're going to start here, and then you're going to continue, okay. You have to see what is the equivalent, okay, to find the greater or the smaller number, okay. Now on exercise number 7 says circle the equivalent fractions. Here we have to circle just the fractions that are equivalent. Therefore here, but only 2 are equivalent. In this case, I give you a hint. Only 2 are equivalent. So you have to see how they're equivalent. Okay, you either multiply or divide, okay, to have this result. Okay, I suggest you, if you can, multiply. If not, then simplify. You decide, okay, according also what the fraction is telling you, okay. Now on exercise number 8 says fill in the center boxes between the fractions, okay, in the right column with fractions that fit in the indicated order. Now filling in answers here, these answers can be different. They're telling you that 1/7 is bigger than this number, but this number is bigger than this one. So you have to see which one is bigger than the other one, okay. Over here, for example, that means here I can do this part, for example, 1/5. That means that 1/5, 1/7 is big. No, sorry, in this case, no, it can't be like this. Now in this case, it could be, they're telling me that 1/5 is bigger than 1/7, but this one will be less than this one. This one is bigger. So you have to fill in the fractions, okay. You have to see, like I said, which one are the ones that have the same equivalence, okay. So for this exercises, I will give you enough time. Remember that exercise number 1, you don't have to do it. Okay, now I will show you a brief example of how you can find out equivalent fractions either by simplifying or amplifying. Okay, that is the purpose of this topic. So imagine you have this fraction 2/4. Two-fourth is your fraction, okay? This fraction we're going to amplify it, okay, by the same number, both numerator and denominator. Which number? Let's try number 2. So let's multiply 2 times 2. Let's multiply 2 times 2 and 4 times 2. Okay, what will be your answer? In this case will be 4/8. That means that 2/4 equals 4/8, okay? It's the same equivalent fraction. Now, how can we simplify this fraction, okay? A fraction that will be simplified and will be equivalent to this one with the same amount. So in this case, you're going to divide, okay? You're going to divide. In this case, you're going to divide with the number 2, okay? Because it's the greatest common number and is the number that is the same for both numerator and denominator. So in this case, you're going to divide. So you're going to divide it by, okay, you're going to divide 2 divided by 2 will be 1, okay? And 4 divided by 2 will be 2. And this is your equivalent fraction, okay? You see in this problem how you can amplify and simplify, and these blue fractions that you see there are the same amount. They're equivalent fractions. Let's try to do this with another one. Let's try to do it with 10/5. Sorry, 10/15. Okay, 10/15. Well, let's multiply this one by any number. We're going to amplify it by any number, so we will multiply it by any type of number. In this case, we're going to multiply times 4. 10 times 4, 40, and 15. 15 times 4, 60. So you see how in this case, okay, I amplified this fraction multiplying by 4. Okay, remember that amplifying is multiplication, okay, with the same number. Now, I multiply it by 4 and this is my equivalent fraction. Now let's simplify this fraction, okay? In this case, simplifying, that means you have to make a division. We're going to divide this fraction with what number? Well, in this case, if you observe, you can divide it by 2, okay? Because it's not a least common multiple. In this case, the least common multiple will be 5, okay? So let's divide this one by 5 and divide this one by 5, and your result, okay, in this case your result, 10 divided by 5, 2, and 15 divided by 5, 3. Okay, why we couldn't use 2? Because 15 divided by 2 is it possible? No. Is it possible 15 divided by 3? Yes, but is it possible 10 divided by 3? No. So here the least common multiple will be 5, okay? It's the common number in these two type of multiplications. Now, this is the equivalent fraction from 10/15, okay? If you observe in simplifying, you have to divide, okay? This is equal and this is equal, okay? Observe that simplifying, you divide, and for amplifying, you multiply. Okay? That is what you have to do. Now let's try one last example. The last example will be 2 7. 2 7. Let's first amplify this fraction. Let's amplify it by 3, okay? Any type of number. You can amplify it by any type of number that you want. In this case, I will amplify it by 3. In this case, 2 times 3 will be 6, and 7 times 3, 21. So you see right here how I just amplified this fraction, okay? And it's possible, but can we simplify this fraction? No. Why? Well, in this case, look, we cannot simplify because here this is not an paired number. This is an odd number. And for example, can you divide 7 divided by 2? No, it's possible you will have a decimal result. So here you cannot simplify it, okay? It's similar, this fraction is similar that you want, the one that you have in the book. Okay, I think you have it on the concept box that we just read. So in this case, this fraction, we cannot simplify it. We just can amplify it and it will stay like this. This is the only equivalent fraction. And this is how you find, this is how you can find out, or you use one fraction, okay, to make it equivalent with another fraction, either way by these two methods, by simplifying or amplifying, okay? So I hope that you understood this part, and remember that this will always be possible. You will always amplify by any type of number. That is the easiest part. But simplifying is not always possible on some fractions, if you just notice, okay? So remember that, please. Healthy back to school guide. Follow these steps to be safe. Number 1, use hand sanitizer. Number 2, wash your hands with soap and water. Number 3, cover your mouth when you sneeze or cough. Number 4, if you feel sick, don't go to school. Number 5, don't share your things. Number 6, no hugs, kisses, or a handshake. Number 7, keep your distance. Number 8, wear your mask. A clean hand is a caring hand. Did you know proper hand hygiene is number 1 way to prevent the spread of germs? Follow these simple steps for proper hand hygiene. Soap and water. Hand sanitizer. Now you will learn how to use the proper way of using a hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer. Apply to the palm of one hand like this, okay? Rub over both hands like this. You need to rub over your both hands. And you just have to, it has to cover all your hands. And you just have to let it dry, okay? That's all. Wash your hair. It's the best line of defense. Okay, washing your hair frequently for a period of time to 20 to 30 seconds. And while you're doing it, try to sing a song, a short song, okay? Now, remember that washing hair is really important. You need to do it before eating, okay? After going to the bathroom, okay? After touching an animal, after touching the garbage, okay, any garbage, after handing or touching a pet or pet food, okay, you need to do it also after blowing your nose, okay, your nose, coughing, or sneezing your nose, okay. You need to always wash those hands. They're really important to keep them clean, okay, and to keep them safe. So let's watch this video how to wash your hands. You should wash your hands for the amount of time it takes to sing happy birthday, 20 seconds. Wet your hands with water. Apply enough soap to cover your hands. rub your hands together and use one hand to rub back the other hand and clean between your fingers. Do the same with other hand. Then rub your hands back to your fingers against your palms. Then rub your thumb using your other hand. Do the same with the other thumb. Then rub the tips of your fingers on the thumb of your other hand. Rinse your hands with enough water. Dry your hands completely with a towel. And then use the towel to turn off the tap. And you're ready to start your day. The proper ways of coughing, okay? The proper ways of coughing, well, you have to use a clean tissue, okay, to wipe my runny nose. Now, you have to cover your cough. How do you cover your cough? Well, use your elbow to cough like that, or grab a tissue, okay, to cover your cough, okay? Remember to use clean tissues. Now, if you want to sneeze, you need to grab a tissue and sneeze like this, okay? These papers that you use while you were running your nose, cleaning your nose, while you were coughing and while you were sneezing, you need to throw these tissues in the bin, okay? And after all that process, you need to wash your hands, okay? Okay guys, these facts are also important. Now that we're going to go back to school, you need to know that you have to mark or keep your distance, okay? Your distance has to be 1 meter, okay, or 2 meters maximum. Remember that we have to avoid the social distance. We have to keep the social distancing, okay? And avoid sharing food. Don't share your food. Don't share your personal items, personal things like your sweaters, like your pencils, pencil case, okay? And don't hug, no hugs and no handshaking, okay? We need to avoid that to avoid the germs. Now, also you need to avoid sharing your drinks, your bottle of water or your juices. You need to avoid that. You keep your things by yourself, you protect your things, okay? And stop sharing. It's the purpose of this is to maintain your body safe, maintain your health safe, and avoid sharing germs with your classmates. If you don't feel well, then don't go to school. If you feel like your nose is running, if you feel like you have a sore throat, okay, like this person right here, this little image, he has a sore throat, he's coughing, he has maybe the flu, he has a headache, or if your eyes are watering, if you feel bad, okay, if you don't feel well, then please don't go to school. Report to the school, to the coordinators, and that you will not be able to go to school. Why? The purpose of this is to avoid getting your classmates also sick, okay? How to put on, use, take off, and dispose of a mask. Okay. Now I will show you right here how to put or use a mask, okay? Well, what do? First, you need to wash your hands before putting your mask on, okay? Now that your hands are clean, then you're going to grab your mask from the band loose, okay? From the band loose, from right here, you're going to grab it, okay? And you're going to open it, put it in your on your ears like this, and now you're going to grab it from here, and that's all. Here I am safe, okay? I have a guarantee protect and avoid from spitting, okay? Now if you want to take it off, then you grab it from your band loose, you grab it like this, and here you put it in the trash bin, okay? Trash bin, or you put it away, okay? And then if you're going to use it one more time, then wash your hands and remember to grab it from here, okay? Now, the don'ts that you don't have to do this. The guarantee protect is like this. This is a guarantee protection, okay? This is all protection. Your nose is protected, your mouth is protected. Like this is not protection, no protection. Like this is not protection, okay? You need to wear your mask covering your nose and your mouth. Okay? Remember to take it off from here, okay? So those are the proper ways or the proper use of wearing a mask. Remember to always keep your mask on. And well, why to keep your mask on? Because do your part of your wear mask, okay? My mask is my protection. It protects you and it protects me, okay? So like it says on the image, my mask protects you and your mask protects me, okay? So well guys, this is all from a good healthy, okay, of taking care of yourself. And remember to always follow other steps, okay? Take care of yourself, okay? And if you take care of yourself, everyone is going to take care of themselves and be safe, okay? So please follow every step.